Welcome back to another episode of the Agweek Podcast. I'm your host, Al Windmill. I'm here with some YouTube farmers. We have Brian Brown from Brian's Farming Videos, Doug Larson and Chet Larson from Larson Farms, and Tony Fast from Fast Ag Montana, all here for the Crary Full Pot event in Fargo, North Dakota under much nicer conditions than last year. If you guys remember, I don't know.
That it is.
I do.
Thanks for being here. Great to see you guys again. And Tony, glad to have you here this year.
Yep.
Welcome to the group.
Thanks, Chad.
You guys all knew each other before, right? You
Yep.
connected. That's really nice. You have a community and
Yeah, I would say definitely as a community. We always are texting each other with questions and camera advice
are you seeing this? Like,
and struggles.
right. We're going to talk a little bit about your farm over the last year. Good things, bad things, that type of stuff. We're just going to kind of ask a question and we'll start here, work our way down if that works for you guys. Nothing too serious. Let's talk successes first. Let's start off on a high note. How were the yields? Well, you're in Ohio, Southern Ohio, correct? Yep. Okay.
So in our area, if you would ask, I don't know, pretty much any other farmer from Ohio, 9 out of 10 of them are going to say they had a record year. Our particular area, there's like a 10, 15-mile square where we had below average rainfall. And going into the year, I assumed we were going to be like 50 bushel off from the previous year. And when it all was said and done on corn, we were like between 2 and 5 bushel, somewhere in there. Like we just finished a week ago.
Okay.
But between 2 and 5 bushel off from last year, and that was with 9 inches of rain from April through October. So for us in our area, that was shocking.
And you were just in that little pocket of
Yep.
not being lucky.
Our beans were terrible, though. They were 20 bushel off from our average last year. But our corn, just the way that the rains fell was more favorable for corn. We had a cooler season when we needed it, and I guess just the genetics in the corn really helped pull it through.
Perfect. Larson Farms, how about you guys?
I think
West Central Minnesota, is that what we say?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think too. This was a very happy surprise. Our yields were a lot better. I think we were at 6.5 inches for a.
Really?
And then
Right.
once we wanted to start harvest, it rained another 6.5 inches,
Yeah.
all in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that made harvest fun. But I would say if you would have asked us this early summer, we were really expecting it to be a well
Not
below average yields, and it was like it rained all summer long. We don't understand it. Like, get into the fields that looked really, really bad, and it was still way better than we expected. And then we had some farms that were our farm best yields.
Really?
Yeah, but I think we survived off of the spotty rain showers.
The ones you got
Yeah.
down in?
Had a lot of real. I would say 1 to 2/10
That's what
rains, and that corn plant especially, it will take that little rain and funnel it right down to the stalk. You can walk out in your cornfield the day after a tenth of rain. It's bone dry, but right around the root, all that
went there.
goes right to the root. And I don't know what else it could be.
It's kind of
Sub-moisture. You
See,
guys
that's
have
the thing.
sub-moisture.
We've been below average dry for a year, so there is no sub-moisture. Like digging in conduit for a shop, there's no moisture. I mean, that ground is powder when you get 3 feet down. So we personally weren't surviving off
Probably
sub.
shows you how much too much moisture hurts you every year.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That
Think it's genetics? Is that a big thing?
I
Is
think
it-
it has to be. I mean, it was rolling up like pineapples in a lot of the fields, and definitely in compaction zones or
Yep.
and hilltops were rolling up really bad. And it's like, oh, this is not going to be good. And yeah, going through the field harvesting it, you could tell where it looked tough, but it still was 170 bushel corn in those spots. And then you hit the low spot where it's, well over 200, and you're ending up with 200 field averages. And
It's hard to complain about that after a dry summer.
no, it was
You guys probably don't have a lot of tree lines, do you?
not too many.
Like as far as like a sustained tree line. So this year we could tell exactly where the roots ended because they were just sucking the moisture right out of the field. I mean, you could see.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's been a great year to have a really deep ripper just to
Yeah.
clip all this.
Take your Crary tile plow and rip along the sides of them.
That's got to make it nice for future dry years. You can breathe a little easier knowing that should be okay with less
I would
moisture than
definitely
you'd like.
agree with that.
I don't know. I did have some guy, I shouldn't even repeat it maybe, but they said it was because of all of your forest fires up north
The smoke.
that
took
had
the
had
sun
something
out.
to do with
Oh,
That was
feeding
in
the
Canada.
plants.
You can't blame me for that.
let's talk about Northeast Montana. How were your crops this year?
Hit or miss. Third year of a drought for us, and peas, a lot like soybeans, if they get the rain at the right time when they're flowering, they'll set a lot of pods. So our peas were really good, and our late spring we caught some showers, but just a lot of single-digit yields, hit or miss, and 3 miles could have been 30 bushel difference for us. So not horrible, but not average yet either.
Interesting.
So
So what would be horrible?
last 2
that,
years.
That sounds horrible to us.
Yeah, you said single digits.
We're,
Like, not
we're
horrible.
shooting for 40 bushel average kind of across the board, 30 bushel on canola and 40 bushel on wheat and peas and stuff. So I don't know. We were still below average. Another get all your crop insurance stuff together year. Sit down with the adjuster for a day. So, but no, I mean, thank goodness for crop insurance to carry us through.
Right.
But
How about misses, Brian? What could have been better for you besides Mother Nature doing her part?
As far as like farming practices?
Yeah, anything on the farm.
Hybrid selection this year we noticed was huge. So we met with a couple seed salesmen and we're kind of going over things. This was just yesterday, and like we had some ground that just it historically is not really good, and I did not expect it to be good this year. And we planted a hybrid that was really suitable to that soil, and it was our second highest averaging field for the year. So I think that is something we probably missed on a lot of places was just hybrid selection. That said, it's easier said than done. Like I told that guy, when it rains 3 inches on this farm and you get the corn for this field, but it didn't rain over here, you're still going to go plant. So I don't know, that's probably missed a little bit, but it's kind of like, what do you do?
Right.
I guess we could vacuum it out, but we're grain farmers. We're not going to do that.
Right.
That's a lot of effort.
Yeah, we're not livestock farmers.
Doug and Chet, what did you guys feel is the biggest miss?
I wouldn't say we had. We did have some soybean variety issues with just
Okay.
high pH, and the lack of rain made the high pH just terrible. So we decided it was a good idea to go out and interseed a earlier day soybean out there, which then totally screwed harvest up because they didn't mature and we didn't get a frost.
Yeah, I've never seen a soybean do what they did this year. It was just
We really struggled with our soybean crop this year. As far
one of
as-
our better farms, and it turned as bad as worse than the worst farm that we've ever had. Just ate itself up. It just was.
Wow.
Have
we
to see
were
it to
back
believe it.
in there 4 different times trying to combine it, and finally it's like it's time to switch to corn and soybeans, and it was going to start raining, which ended up to be a swamp. And I'm glad we got the beans out when we did, but it was very ugly those last spots we went through, but we got her done.
There's just a lot of butter beans in them, or
A lot of pods, a lot of green, what we call bloopers. Big beans, swelled up beans. It didn't feel very good.
Yeah, it was just. I don't know if it would have even if we would have had a killing frost. I don't know if it would have even
Because not
killed
only
our
was
plants.
it the interseeded beans that were green, it was just the retarded soybeans from being just destroyed by that high pH, and then they don't, I don't know, mature like they're supposed
Yeah,
to.
they're
They stay
just-
green into the frost. So
Wow.
yeah, that was a struggle on a lot of fields. Like any field that variety was in, it showed up those yellow spots in the bean fields in places we've never seen before.
But it was labeled as being one of the best high pH beans out there.
Now you
on
know.
the right.
Now we know.
On the right ear, yes.
it's a relative term.
Tony, what misses did you have? I know you have a diversified mix out there.
Oh, probably marketing.
Really?
Just prices last year versus this year. If we could have forward contracted a bunch of stuff, but we're such an area with either hail or drought, we might be buying the contracts back. So it's really hard for us to get into, well, yeah, let's sell 40,000 bushels of wheat and hope we cut 35 of it, or we might only cut 35 of it. Or, I mean, it's kind of an unknown. We did do some Winfield spring wheat trials for them and found some really good new varieties that we're going to plant next year, like 8 bushels better than our existing spring wheat seeds. So that was kind of a miss on, well, we could have planted a lot more of this
Right.
this year, but I guess we're learning as we go.
Absolutely. Well, with those hits and misses, what are you guys planning to change for 2024?
So we are, I guess this would have been the misses, but we're changing up our fertilizer program a little bit, adding a little bit of ammonium sulfate, changing up our hybrid selection. And this year we switched to soil testing every acre on a half-acre grid.
Okay.
So I'm kind of curious to see how that helps us manage those acres. I mean,
Make a better plan.
Yep, a little bit finer as far as our variable rating maps.
Yep.
So curious to
Is
see
that, are you part of the CSP program for that, or?
No, it was quite the opposite. We had to pay a lot.
Well, you still have to do that.
So are you talking about through like soil and water?
In our CS program.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we
so
got
ours. That's the conservation steward program, right?
Yep.
I don't think we have a soil testing thing for that. At least if we do, I don't know about it.
well, we got involved in that on a portion of it. And
Time will tell.
Yeah, we're gonna see what that's all about. It's interesting. We looked into that kind of when that became popular, and like anything, when it's new, they don't have it quite figured out. Now it seems like they maybe have it dialed in and know the science behind variable rate and not to mine out the areas, but yet can cut back. So that was interesting to see, but it is also a headache for us because we don't have a spreader that variable rates, or one bin spreader rather than a 2 or 3 bin spreader.
Although for extra added price, you can have a 2-bin spreader.
You have whatever you want. You have enough money for it.
Larson Farms, what changes do you see on the horizon?
All international, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I would say it's a little too early to know what, if anything's changing. I would imagine we'll be
Not
doing
those
the same
high
thing.
pH soybeans again, though.
Well, that's not, no.
Big red X on that.
Yeah, and that, could have been, they have been in our area. We've never grown them before, but I guess they were, would have been 2 seasons ago. There were a few of them in the area, and they did amazing. They were the top yielding beans. This year, I think it was just due to how dry it was. Those
Yep.
salts came up, and they didn't like that.
Yeah.
High expectation, low.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No, I think the only thing that I think we're changing is a few more acres of black beans again, and
Yeah, that we are doing. We're
Okay.
maybe corn on corn, more corn on corn, right or wrong.
That
but-
kind of to mix the black bean into the rotation becomes more corn on corn acres, because you go corn, black beans, corn, black beans, rather
Okay.
than putting soybeans out there, because you cannot raise black beans after soybeans, because you cannot kill the volunteer soybeans in them, and that is an allergen. So
Oh, okay.
that's the point
Interesting.
of that rotation, I guess.
Is there also an issue with like root rot or ascochyta like we deal with peas? Could you raise black beans on black beans?
I
don't
would
know.
assume they
I've
would
never
maybe,
seen anyone in the area.
Yeah, I
do
would
that.
assume that's not a good
I mean, are all
practice.
the diseases for soybeans the same as black beans? Like you
So
get
the
white mold.
White
issues?
mold.
They mold,
Yeah.
and that it's really bad with black beans, or it
More
can be really
susceptible.
bad. Yes.
That was my original concern before we started with them, because we have a pretty good soybean yield, and last thing I wanted to do is bring white mold into something that was working pretty good for us. But so far so good. I mean,
It's more management crop. But
Sure.
So far
Worth it
we've
for
been
you guys?
So far we've been,
So
yeah,
far.
it's a better better gross than soybeans.
You can only
Help spread harvest out a little bit. It seems like you're always harvest.
It was the
harvest
longest harvest of my life this year. We started in the middle of August, and we didn't get done till end of October.
it really affected the county fairs. I didn't.
You didn't get your
No, I didn't.
evening trips to town. huh?
Get to go to as many.
Tony, what changes are you planning on for next year?
We might be getting into a little bit of seed production
Oh.
for that seed varieties we were trialed on last year, and planting a lot of their seed for all of our spring wheat. So that's probably about it, though,
Sure.
for anything major going on, I guess.
We talked about black beans. What else are you guys considering adding to the mix? Anything new for 2024?
Well, Ohio just legalized marijuana, so I don't know. No, I'm joking. We're not for that, but I think the
Diversify.
I think the black market's pretty well locked that up in our area. But I don't know. I don't think so. As far as growing a different crop or anything, I think we're pretty
Happy with where you've been?
that, and we're set up to do what we're already doing. And yeah, I don't see us changing unless the market dictated it.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I think other than no new crops coming in, unless you've got different.
If I
plans.
have, I
You
have
could
forgotten
start
what
sugar
it was.
beets.
1,000 acres
Get
of
into the
pumpkins.
sugar beets.
Yeah.
No.
Tony,
No.
what do you think?
We're taking some alfalfa out, putting it back into rotation.
Okay.
Wheat, peas, whatever, canola. So
Easier to manage or better for the books?
more lake time.
Right. Not having to be there when the conditions are perfect.
Yeah, a little more sleep.
Right.
Baling alfalfa at night. Never know how long or if you'll get to.
So you're totally ending the alfalfa, or just cutting back some?
we got, I don't know, 700 acres and probably taking at least 300 acres of it out this year and gonna just at least let some ranchers hay it
Okay.
till it's died out. The first stuff we planted the first year is getting pretty thin, and weeds are starting to creep back into it. So
How many years is cutting is that?
we planted that in 18, so we got
Wow.
five crops off of it
And that's with 3 years of drought.
through a lot of bad drought. So like the 2019 was really wet. We got like 3 cuttings off of parts of it, which is really rare for us. We're usually a 1 cut dry land, and so that was some of that was just to keep like swathing between black windrows because it kept raining. Let's go make swath so we can roll that windrow onto something short, so we're not pulling a bunch of green into the baler. But yeah, it's dying out. It's done. But yeah, if it probably had average years, we probably could go get another 2 crops out of it in our area. It's Roundup ready, but it's just getting to be where by July in thinner spots, it's weedy again. So the plan was to try and get rid of some weeds with Roundup ready alfalfa, and now it's doing the opposite. So it's time to get rid of it.
You mean round up the grass killer?
That still works really good in our area. We don't have
Really?
all the nasty weeds you have.
It only
Really?
controls grass in our area.
Yeah, that's literally
That is
really
the only
big.
reason we spray it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it smokes everything for us yet.
You guys got the evil Roundup.
I'll send some water.
We got
down
the-
No,
to
you
it.
don't. I don't. They actually found it in our county next to us.
Oh boy,
So,
it's moving in.
yeah.
Wait till that gets in your wheat fields. Although
I think in wheat we'll have no problem killing it because
Yeah.
there's so many husky or some of these other broadleaf sprays we should be fine with, but I don't know. We'll see.
Did you guys have any issues with equipment breakdowns or not doing what you needed to do or labor help? Either of those things come up?
Well,
Funny you should ask.
so
well, we just opened a can of worms for a lot of conversation.
first day of harvest really wasn't a full day of harvest. It was one evening we took the combine down, loaded 3 trucks, made sure everything worked. Second day, there's a pretty aggressive premium at a local ethanol plant, and we're harvesting kind of early, and we're trucking grain an hour away to this ethanol plant, and 5 o'clock rolls around, and I pull in. I can hear on the radio Dad saying, "Hey, so and so is going to take a truck up to our grain bins and dump it so we can keep rolling. We're trying to finish a 70-acre field up." I can hear that on the radio. It's like 20 miles out. I'm like, perfect. So I get there, and that truck's still not back, and it takes 10 minutes to dump a truck, and we are a mile from our grain bins. That's weird. Wonder what he's doing. So I take a loaded truck up to our grain bins, and about the time I'm pulling out, my brother texts and says, "Hey, the hired guy just quit. He pulled the truck up there, parked it, and went home." Perfect.
Wow.
Second day of harvest.
Yep. Second day of harvest, his third season, said he couldn't handle the hours and he quit. At 5 o'clock. Anyways, we're not going to dwell on that. So we're going to get over to the next part. About a minute later, final drive had worked loose on the combine and the duals fell off of it. That was the second day of harvest.
Fell off.
Yeah.
You make it seem like that's just a normal thing.
No, that was pretty unnormal. That was.
Was it the ladder side? Where
No, it was the other side.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, we didn't buy a ladder. He caught it before it had actually fell completely off. But it's definitely sitting there crooked.
Wow.
And I was thinking, wow, second day.
Glean her down.
We still got like 40 days of this. This is going to be great. Now, luckily, we never had a major malfunction after that. But
You got it all out of the way.
yeah,
right
we
up
did it
front.
early.
How about Larson Farms? Everything smooth sailing for you guys?
Well, as far as hired guys, we tried something new, which I was very skeptical, very scared of doing. It's I put an ad out on Instagram to hire people because we had one guy retire.
I missed
On your
that.
Larson.
It was up for 2 hours.
Oh.
So if
So on your
that,
Larson Farms Instagram page.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I was going for, well, let's just say in 2 hours I had like 40 or 50 people that
Wow.
responded back, and I'm like, I got to take this down before this gets out of control. And I did end up hiring 5 people, and I just kept hiring them because as I'd hire them, one of them would quit or back out, and I'm like, oh, this is what I figured. They say yes, and then the closer you get to it, something happens, or they take a different job or whatever. Long story short, I ended up with 2 guys from Iowa that both came from really big farms, and they were amazing. I could put them in anything and trust. Like, you didn't even have to teach them how to run stuff. They were, the one guy showed up early and helped us set up equipment, and he was setting it up, and it's like, wow, should I just go home for the week? But no, that worked out really, really good.
Good.
So you guys going to keep them full time, or is that just a seasonal coming up for the harvest?
Each one of them has a little unique story. So I think the one's going to be staying with us till like February. He's going back to his family farm. And the other one has a job, but his boss got married and took a couple-month honeymoon, I guess. So
He was going to evidently test out his marriage right off the bat with a 2-month honeymoon. That would test it, I would think.
So he was
them.
told that he can keep working, and it's a truck shop from my understanding, or he can do whatever he wants. And he emailed me, actually. He didn't even see my Instagram post. He just emailed me, and after so many people backed out, I'm like, I really don't want to go down the Instagram post again. And he emailed me, and at first I was doing it like the professional way, like I want references and this, because you don't know what you're going to get from states away. And this guy emailed me, and I said, "Do you drive truck?" "Yep." "And I can drive grain cart." And I said, "All right, when can you be here?" Because at that point we were getting really close, and we had one guy still, and so it worked out good. They were amazing workers, and they're both coming to my wedding. So not only was great workers, but great friendships we made from states away.
Hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
How about your equipment? Did everything hold up for you?
Pretty good. The little issues.
Towards the end of the season, I don't know. I just can't believe that stuff isn't got a little bit more longevity in it. We wrench all winter long, and boy, you get to that, close to 300 hours on anything, and it just starts falling apart.
Right when you need it. Just
Well,
be
at the
done,
very
finish
last
line.
3-4
It's
days.
running the most ideal conditions. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
could have something to do with it too,
My
maybe.
combine load tube snapped off, which at the beginning of the season, I actually said that on a YouTube video. I said, that's going to show itself. And I investigated. The thing was just shaking, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, here, I think the bottom of the load tube gear was breaking off and ended up twisting off and causing a whole bunch of other misfortunate events downstream of that. And then a pry bar got left in the grain tank while we were fixing the load tube.
Who left the pry bar?
You know, me and Chris were the two
Equally.
that were in there, and we both knew it was up there, and neither one of us grabbed it. And I think there was so much corn in there because it tried to put corn in there, and then it broke. And then it was such a little bit, I just drove back to the farm, get tools, and the pry bar must have got stepped down into the corn. The weird thing that I don't understand about it is I unloaded that combine like 3 or 4 times before it actually made its way to the spot that caused a lot of issues. But we did send her right through the whole unload system successfully. Came out in a 14-inch round circle.
That's impressive for hardened steel.
It was very concerning, the sounds that it made going out. But at that point, it's already in there so far that what do you do?
No,
At least it came out.
Yeah, that's.
I have it on good authority from the internet comments that John Deere equipment doesn't break down. Do you mean to tell me it does?
Oh, my favorite thing is to say is pick which color junk you want to run and get in and start driving it because it all breaks down. It all breaks down, except your stuff.
Well, until you get a raccoon in your radiator.
Yeah, I've
I've
seen
seen
that.
3 of them. There's 3 young
Really?
ones in that deal. Took 1 blade off and did not wreck the radiator. Drove 4 hours into Canada to find a fan. And 12 hours we were going again.
What did that sound like?
I never heard it. I started the combine up. We got rained out and they were parked by the shed. And Dad and Tim were standing in the door of the shed, kind of like turned their head when I started the combine. I'm like, uh-oh, I know what that was. So now when we check oil, we make sure there's no raccoons in the fan. They said now that radiator for that combine is like $7,500. So it's like 10 grand if you plus the shop time if you have the shop do it to get you going again.
How bad was the fan?
Well, it took 1 blade off, but it shook enough where you could feel it shaking when the fan wound up because it's hydraulic. So we would start it up, drive a little ways, shut it off. Start it up. I got all the header stuff unhooked, set the header down, shut it off. I drove in the shed finally to work on it. So we had
Think about
lights in
taking
there.
the other blade off.
It's all kind of hard to get in there.
Yeah.
I was trying to find
Neither-
blades that
neither
we could
can.
put on, but they're like, there's these little pieces of tin riveted on randomly to balance them. Like it's like a 20 blade fan in
Wow.
there. So
So when I got our combine out of storage to get it ready for a harvest, I didn't have any in the radiator, but I had a whole family of them in the grain tank. And I
just
I showed it on YouTube.
auger out and button on, right?
No. I showed it on YouTube, and then I politely, gently set them onto the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Politely.
One ran
Very
down.
gently.
2 of them ran off the combine, and one of them we couldn't find. And when I was driving it to take the header off, it like ran into the header. So of course I just started the machine up, and we caught that one at least.
A bunch of them things attacked me. They seen the grain cart at the headlands and ran towards the combine. And let's just say the combine won.
They actually ran into the
Yep,
combine.
right in, jumped in the head inside.
That's impressive. So last year I hit a deer with a corn head, and that was the first experience I've ever had with that. And I'm just going along, and all of a sudden the header stalls out.
Oh.
And I'm like, we've had issues with that header, and I start saying some words, and I just assume that the slip clutches are just slipping, and then I look down, and there's a deer head right in the row unit. I was like, we better reverse that out.
That's why it stopped.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one more for you guys. What do you think needs to be addressed on your farm, and what's something that could make things much better for you?
We're perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, everything's perfect.
Fewer raccoons and deer.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of things, but there are a lot of things.
I don't mean to like bring up these like deep, dark
Yeah, you just
things and make you really.
He's gonna start crying.
I know, this is
Look
too
what
much.
you did.
Sorry, buddy.
we could definitely be a little bit more up to date on maintenance. We just finished building a new farm shop and kind of looking forward to maybe making things a little bit more up to date on that kind of stuff.
Having room to do it.
Yeah.
on
So
the
before
elements.
everything was in a 36 by 36 shop, and it's just completely full, and it's just really hard to motivate yourself to want to go wrench on equipment when it's 12 degrees outside. And now we've got a nice heated building to do that in. It's a lot easier to convince yourself to want to go do that. So
Perfect.
yeah.
How about Larson Farms?
I'll let you. I'm curious to know what your opinion is.
Well, I guess.
What was the question?
Yeah, one more time. We've always toyed around talking about a fertilizer warehouse or something on the farm. But that is, I don't know, we question ourselves when things aren't going good with the fertility side of things that we have done or are doing. And I don't know, that's to actually build a building and have that stuff to maintain and
We get to trade skid loaders more often when it's all rusted apart.
that would be a pretty big step to take, but and that would grow into maybe trucking corn down to Savage and hauling fertilizer back, which is that's a 150-mile trip one way.
Our trucks look nice. Mechanically, they just don't work very
I think
well.
that's just
50
a truck.
footers.
That's checks in general.
I think so. So I don't know. That's one thing that we actually did look into this summer a little bit, but just got to make up our mind if it's actually going to be feasible or want to actually do it.
More work.
Yeah. Job security on top of everything else.
What were you thinking, Chet?
Oh, I don't know. I always have a bunch of stuff that I want to do, and then it just kind of always seems like stuff just happens or decisions get made. You'll be thinking you want to do this, and then something totally different happens, and that's where you spend your money or spend the money for the next 5 years or 30 years.
I think it was easier to spend money when you could borrow it for 3%.
A lot easier.
Yeah, it got really tough to want to go to a bank right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I noticed, the bank was really anxious to loan it out when it was 8%. Oh, you need a loan for that? No.
Yeah.
How about you, Tony? What needs to be addressed and what's something that could
We
fix that issue or something else?
we built a big shed for equipment storage last winter, and kind of thinking it might turn into a shop someday. Don't know which route to go. It's not really the right dimensions for a shop. It's just a wood building, so it's narrow. But that figure out what to do with that, and then maybe just like more. Like you guys have a real nice heated chemical warehouse, something like
Needs to
that.
be
Because it
bigger.
seems like our stack of partial used and whatever is getting bigger every year, and it takes up room in a heated shop. That kind of thing. Some organization would be nice. Get rid of a bunch of old junk and try and clean things up a little bit, probably.
I definitely suggest a chemical place.
Yeah,
Chemical
and that
seed.
would be what our current shop would probably turn into. Part of that would probably turn into a little bit of a warehouse.
That's what happened to our old shop.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is I don't, like we always used to put it in our shop and just.
You can always smell
You
it.
can always smell it. I don't like working around that stuff all winter long when you're not exposed to it, and then you're going to expose yourself all winter long to chemicals. I don't like
Yeah.
it. So that's really nice. Now you just walk into that building and you feel like a weed withering away.
All right, guys. Well, we'll do some more of this here at the full pod, but that wraps up this episode of the Agweek Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Look forward to chatting some more with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.